Dear students, in this video I will explain theories to explain origin of life forms. That is the first theory of natural selection. It was proposed by Charles Darwin. Based on observations made during a sea voyage in a sail ship called HMS Beagle round the world, Charles Darwin concluded that existing living forms share similarities to varying degrees not only among themselves but also with the life forms that existed millions of years ago. Many such life forms do not exist anymore. There had been extinction of different life forms in the years gone by, just as a new form of a life arose at different periods of a history of earth. There has been gradual evolution of life forms. Any population has built-in variation in characteristics. Those characteristics which enable some to survive better in natural condition, that is climate, food, physical factors, etc., would outbreed others that are less endowed to survive under such natural conditions. Another word used is a fitness of the individual or population. The fitness, according to Darwin, refers to ultimately and only to reproductive fitness. Hence, those who are better fit in an environment leave more progeny than others. These therefore will survive more and hence are selected by nature. He called it natural selection and implied it as a mechanism of evolution. The Darwin proposed two key concepts, that is branching descent and a natural selection. So the next is the conclusion of Alfred Wallace regarding to evolution. Alfred Wallace, a naturalist who worked in Malay archipelago, had come to conclusion that the origin of life forms occurs by a natural selection. In due course of time, apparently new type of organisms are recognizable. All the existing life forms share similarities and share common ancestors. However, these ancestors were present at different periods in the history of Earth. The geological history of Earth closely correlates with the biological history of Earth. A common permissible conclusion is that Earth is very old, not thousands of years as was thought earliest, but billions of years old. Next is the evidences for evolution. Evidence that the evolution of life form has indeed takes place on Earth has come from many quarters. The first is the fossils. These are remains of hard parts of life forms found in rock sediments. Different aged rock sediments contain fossils of different life forms who probably died during the formation of the particular sediment. A study of fossils in different sedimentary layers indicates the geological period in which they existed. All this is called paleontological evidence. The next one is the embryological evidence or a support. This evidence or support for evolution was also proposed by Ernest Haeckel based upon the observation of certain features during embryonic stage common to all vertebrates that are absent in the adult. For example, the embryos of all vertebrates including human develop a row of vestigial gill slits just behind the head, but it is a functional organ only in a fish and not found in any other adult vertebrates. The next evidence is a comparative anatomy and morphology. These show similarities and dissimilarities among the organisms of today and those that existed years ago. Such similarities can be interpreted to understand whether common ancestors were shared or not. The next evidence is a biochemical evidence or biochemical similarities. In the same line of argument, similarities in proteins and genes performing a given function among diverse organisms give clue to common ancestry. These biochemical similarities point to the same shared ancestry as structural similarities among the diverse organisms. So, here is the divergent evolution and homology. In organisms, the same structure developed along different directions due to adaptations to different needs is a divergent evolution, and these structures are called homologous. Homology indicates common ancestry. For example, whales, bats, cheetah and human, all are mammals, share similarities in the patterns of bones of forelimbs. Though these forelimbs perform different functions in these animals, they have similar anatomical structures. All them have humerus, radius and ulna, carpals, metacarpals and phalanges in their forelimbs. And other examples are vertebrate hearts and brains. In plants also, the thorns and tendrils of bougainvillea and cucurbita represent homology. The next is the convergent evolution and analogous organs. Different structures evolving for the same function and hence having similarity is known as convergent evolution. The organ which are not anatomically similar structure, though they perform similar function, are known as analogous organs. One can say that it is the similar habitat that has resulted in selection of similar adaptive features in different group of organisms but towards the same function. Example, wings of butterfly and birds look alike. The eye of the octopus and mammals or the flippers of penguins and dolphins. Sweet potato, it is a root modification and potato is a stem modification, is another example for analogy. So the next is the observations supporting evolution by natural selection. In a collection of moths made in 1850s in England, that is before industrial revolution, it was observed that there were more white-winged moths on a tree than dark-winged or melanized moths. However, in the collection carried out from the same area, but after industrialization, that is 1920, there were more dark-winged moths in the same area, that is the population was reversed. The explanation put forth for this observation was that predators will spot a moth against a contrasting background. During post-industrialization period, the tree trunk became dark due to industrial smoke and soot. Under these conditions, the white-winged moth did not survive due to predators. Dark-winged or melanized moth were survived. Before industrialization set in, thick growth of almost white-colored lichens covered the trees. In that background, The white-winged moth survived, but the dark-colored moth was picked out by predators. Hence, the moths that were able to camouflage themselves, that is, hide in the background, were survived. This understanding is supported by the fact that in an area where industrialization did not occur, example in rural areas, the count of melanic forms was low. This showed that in a mixed population, those that can better adapt, survive, and increase their population. It should be noted that no variant is completely wiped out. Excess use of herbicides, pesticides, etc. has only resulted in selection of resistant varieties in a much lesser time scale. This is also true for microbes against which we employ antibiotics or drugs against eukaryotic organisms or cells. Hence, resistant organisms or cells are appearing in a time scale of months or years and not centuries. These are the examples of evolution by anthropogenic action. This also tells us that evolution is not a directed process in the sense of determinism. It is a stochastic process based on the chance events in nature and chance mutation in the organisms. The next